Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that dominates in today's edition for Tuesday, 4th October 2025, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. With tremendous relief response for Jamaica, that island's people will soon be smiling once more. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's a service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. The recovery process is now underway in Jamaica following the devastating impact of Hurricane Melissa, which slammed into the island as a catastrophic Category 5 storm. The death toll is expected to climb, with officials warning that numbers could rise in the coming days. Melissa has left behind widespread destruction, crippling power supplies, damaging homes, and displacing thousands. Here is TV6's Rochelle Edwards with a full story on Jamaica's road to recovery.
Hurricane Melissa struck the island on Tuesday, the 28th of October, packing sustained winds of up to 185 miles per hour at landfall, making it the strongest storm ever to hit Jamaica. In its wake, large parts of the island have suffered roof destruction, widespread flooding, and landslides, especially in parishes like St. Elizabeth Parish. Roads are blocked, communication networks and power grids badly affected. Power outages at roughly 77% of Jamaica lost electricity after the storm passage. Thousands displaced, with over 25,000 people reported to be in shelters across the western half of Jamaica, though many more remained in damaged homes, and the death toll on the island has risen. Tourism is one of the sectors that has been hit the hardest, with airports and ports reported temporarily closed for the past couple of days. But in a media briefing today, Jamaica's Energy, Transport and Telecommunications Minister, Daryl Vaz, stated that all three airports are now open for relief supplies to arrive on the island. And even better news, the Norman Manley Airport resumed operations for commercial passengers and have 10 flights in and out of Jamaica, such as Caribbean, Copa, JetBlue, Cayman and American Airlines. Minister Daryl Vaz said the USF's 7 public Wi-Fi hubs and 112 community Wi-Fi hotspots in the western region are down due to hurricane damage, power loss, and internet service provider disruption. The use of Starlink satellite is an interim measure being employed to facilitate communication in affected communities while terrestrial infrastructure is being restored. Installation of solar-powered hubs that can support Wi-Fi access and device charging for residents are also being undertaken. Minister Vaz also warned public passenger operators against hiking fares in areas affected by Hurricane Melissa, declaring zero tolerance by the police and the Transport Authority, noting that joint sting operations will be carried out to seize as many offenders as possible. He said that there have been reports of passengers being charged 50 to 100% above the set fares. Early estimates project losses for Jamaica could reach up to US $14 billion, threatening to erase decades of economic gains largely driven by tourism and agriculture sectors. In effort to rebuild, the government led by Andrew Holness has declared a disaster area and launched a national relief platform. Support jamaica.gov.gm for donations, reporting emergency needs and accessing shelters.
The Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Philip Davis, and his Deputy Prime Minister Cooper led a delegation to the southern Bahamas to assess the damage left behind by Hurricane Melissa. Corville Pyfrom of ZNS News has more.
This delegation, which is led by Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis, also includes the Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable I. Chester Cooper, and other senior government officials, as well as officials, the leadership team from the Disaster Risk Management Authority. Several stops made today. This is a multi-government, multi-agency assessment. The first stop of the day took us to Athens, where, according to local officials there, the impact was quite minimal from the storm, and so they were pretty pleased about that. There was some flooding, a few fallen trees, that sort of thing, but for the most part, they seem to all think that the island of Athens fared well. Overall, we have to tell you that that seems to be the recurring sentiment among officials. Our next stop was to Long Island, where, yes, Long Island perhaps received the brunt of Melissa's impact here in this country, but even there, officials, including the island administrator, noted that things could have been a lot worse. They are lucky there that there were no losses of life or any injuries. She also tells us that facilities like the 3 clinics on the island were operable before and during this storm. Our final stop of the day brings us here to Kent Island, where again, from what we can see based on our preliminary assessment, things appear to look okay here as well. There may be a few fallen trees and that sort of thing, but overall, the word we are receiving from officials, 3 islands visited today, Athens, Long Island, and now here in Kent Island, things could have been a lot worse, and so officials and residents are all counting their blessings here. Corville Pyfrom in Kent Island for the Bahamas Tonight.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick, in association with our friends at
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
In a significant operation targeting organized crime, the Royal St. Lucia Police Force's Specialized Gangs, Narcotics and Firearms Unit has uncovered and dismantled a major smuggling network. The operation focused on port employees allegedly facilitating the illicit movement of drugs and firearms through the island's seaports. Gina Felipe of HTS News Force reports.
The raids at St. Lucia's ports have exposed a troubling reality. Some insiders are aiding criminals. Inspector Chauvin Matthew of the Gangs, Narcotics and Firearms Unit detailed how over 260 search warrants and 150 joint operations led to massive seizures, including 17 firearms and over 3,000 rounds of ammunition. The focus? Dismantling organized efforts at the ports, where porous borders have made smuggling a persistent threat. He addressed the press at the police department's latest monthly media briefing on Thursday.
Over the past 3 weeks, you would have noticed that there have been an increase in the number of arrests at our ports involving port workers. What we noticed as law enforcement, we have uncovered an organized effort involving a small number of seaport employees who have been facilitating the importation and the clearing of illicit drugs and firearms through our ports.
The unit's investigation revealed a small group of seaport employees clearing illicit barrels, bypassing security. Matthew emphasized the need for public tips to curb the issue.
Notwithstanding the fact that they're the ones who are supposed to be protecting our ports, but what we've noticed, they've been facilitating those clearance of those barrels. We all know that St. Lucia, we have very porous borders, and the main port of entry has been used as the area where those firearms and drugs are coming in.
With arrests already made and charges filed, the police are working closely with other agencies. But the unit warns that St. Lucia's borders remain vulnerable and more action is needed to protect communities from this influx of illegal goods, including high-powered firearms.
We are hoping that the citizenry would assist us with information as it relates to that organized effort at Port Castries.
A Port Police Constable, Yannick Leon, has been formally charged following a protracted investigation into a large drug seizure at Port Castries on July 16, 2025. During the initial interdiction, Leon allegedly presented a fraudulent letter of authorization while attempting to clear a shipping barrel containing 26.8 kilograms of cannabis resin, hashish, valued at an estimated EC $1,340,000. Following his arrest and formal charging on multiple offenses, including importation of a controlled drug, Leo was remanded into police custody until December 9, 2025. Gina Filippi, HDS News Force.
Urvashi Tiwari Rupnarayan of TV6 News shares with us that the Conference of Theology in the Caribbean today is urging regional solidarity, calling for what it terms a zone of peace as the Caribbean faces twin crises: the devastating impact of Hurricane Melissa and rising tensions between Venezuela and the United States.
The Conference on Theology in the Caribbean today, or CTCT, has joined the Antilles Episcopal Conference of Roman Catholic Bishops and the Archdiocese of Port of Spain in expressing deep concern for what it calls perilous times in the region. In a statement, the CTCT says it stands in solidarity with the people of Jamaica, where Hurricane Melissa, described as the storm of the century, has left widespread devastation, killing several and displacing thousands. Similar destruction has been reported in Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and the Bahamas, with the storm now bearing down on Bermuda. The group notes that while the Caribbean remains vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, its people continue to demonstrate resilience, generosity, and community spirit in the face of disaster. The CTCT is calling on Caribbean citizens to rally around the hardest hit communities through prayer, aid, and practical support. But the body is also warning of another looming threat: the rising geopolitical tensions between Venezuela and the United States. It's urging regional leaders to embrace diplomacy and dialogue, declaring that the Caribbean must remain a zone of peace. The CTCT says its call extends beyond politics. It's a moral appeal for unity, compassion, and peace across a region already tested by nature and global power struggle.
Liat Air is setting its sights beyond this region with plans to expand into international markets. The airline is working on partnership to connect regional travelers to destinations across the globe, while also exploring direct routes to Toronto in North America. ABS's Samantha Simon reports.
After just over 1 year of operation, Liat Air is looking to take Caribbean connectivity to the next level. Chief Executive Officer Afsa Abdul Salam says the airline is in discussions with several international carriers to provide seamless travel options for passengers.
Is to be for any person purchasing a Liat Air ticket to be able to get to Australia or to India, through this partnership. So to get to the Middle East, as the case may be.
The partnerships will allow Liat passengers to purchase tickets that connect them to destinations far beyond the region through interline arrangements. Abdul Salam says negotiations are at various stages, with hopes of closing a major deal before the year's end. But the airline also has plans for its own international routes. Canada's Toronto market is being explored as a near-term possibility, which would require bringing in larger aircraft. Direct flights to the United States, however, remain off the table until the Eastern Caribbean regains its Category 1 aviation status.
Unfortunately, at this point, we're unable to open up the flights into I wouldn't say North America, but I would say more the United States and the United States territories in this region, purely because the Eastern Caribbean region is still not attained its Category 1 status. So
Abdul Salam stresses the importance of building a strong regional foundation before launching long-haul international flights.
We need the feeder into the flights. So if we haven't strengthened our regional base and strengthened our feeder network, then we'll just be operating on empty. Those are very expensive equipment to operate.
The CEO says the airline's expansion plans reflect its commitment to providing affordable and reliable connectivity for Caribbean travelers. Samantha Simon, ABS News.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.